While the world watches Gaza, another conflict burns relentlessly here in the West Bank. The land was intended to form the heart of a future Palestinian state. Instead, it has been under military occupation for more than 50 years. Across its hills, Israeli settlements spread, illegal under international law, but funded and protected by the state. Since October 7th, 2023, there has been a surge of settler violence, land seizures, and demolitions. A conflict shaped by decades of tension is hurtling towards a breaking point. This is the story of a front line that shapes life in Palestine, how the West Bank came to be, who the settlers shaping its future are, and what is at stake for the people once promised a Palestinian land. In 1947, the UN decided to partition what was known as Mandatory Palestine into an Arab state and a Jewish state, as a result of increasing tensions between Arabs and Jews. And Great Britain, which had controlled much of the region after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, was ready to hand over this escalating situation to someone else. In 1948, after Israel declared independence, war engulfed the region. By the time the guns fell silent a year later, Israel held most of the land. Egypt took Gaza, Jordan took the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Around 750,000 Palestinians had fled or been forced from their homes, an exodus remembered by the Palestinians as the Nakba, or catastrophe. Then, 20 years later, Israel captured the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan in the Six-Day War. This would mark the start of Israeli occupation.
1967, everything changed. Within 6 days, Israel occupied the entire Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, Gaza, and the Golan Heights.
In 1993, after decades of attempting to manage the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza, the Oslo Accords were signed.
It was supposed to be a transitional arrangement between the Israelis and the Palestinians about moving it towards some form of Palestinian governance.
The Oslo Accords carved the West Bank into 3 zones. Area A, run by the Palestinian Authority, Area B, which had shared control, and Area C, the largest, under full Israeli control.
There has been quite a clash in terms of the visions of peace between the two sides.
They gave themselves 5 years to deal with all the outstanding issues, with all the core issues of refugees, of Jerusalem as the capital, its border, settlements.
Palestinians envision sovereignty. The Israelis really don't envision giving them more than autonomy over really tiny patches.
That was the start of right-wing move of politics in Israel.
And that shift to the right began to embolden a determined group, settlers.
In the West Bank, Palestinians are facing threats from Israeli settlers who seek to push them out.
President Joe Biden has approved sanctions on 4 Israeli settlers accused of attacking Palestinians in the occupied West Bank.
Across the West Bank, communities are rising in places where previous agreements outlined they would not. Settlements are Israeli villages built on occupied Palestinian territory and are considered illegal under international law. As of March 2025, there are 147 settlements spread across the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The movement has transformed into an extreme entity, thriving under state protection.
The settler movement itself, they are very much abetted by an entire system, whether that's the police, the army, the courts, the government itself.
You have the presence in the government of Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, the National Security Minister and the Finance Minister. They are both settlers themselves. They are advancing policies that are contributing to what we see now.
הגיעה העת להחיל את הריבונות הישראלית ביהודה ושומרון, להוריד מן הפרק אחת ולתמיד את רעיון חלוקת הארץ הקטנטנה שלנו והקמת מדינת טרור במרכזה.
Today, more than 700,000 Israeli settlers live in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Most seek affordable housing and easy commutes to Israeli cities, but some are driven by religious nationalist ideology. Beyond official settlements, a new wave of outposts have surged, makeshift camps built on hilltops in occupied Palestinian territory.
It's often just caravans or vehicles or huts, and that will be what is called an illegal outpost.
They start as illegal, doing illegal thing, and then in due course the government legalizes them.
And then they become a settlement.
Groups like the Hilltop Youth are notorious for this.
They are repeat offenders. They are known to the Israeli establishment, and nothing has been done to rein in their capacity.
They are probably one of the most dangerous group of settlers because they stop at nothing. and with complete impunity.
The number of outposts has continued to increase. Violence has also escalated. In the same period, 612 Palestinians and 24 Israelis were killed in clashes in the West Bank. It made the headlines when Audeh Hatalin, a Palestinian teacher who helped film the Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land, was shot dead during a confrontation with settlers. The man accused of shooting him, Enon Levi, claimed self-defense and was ultimately freed after 3 days of house arrest. He's a settler sanctioned by the UK and the European Union. For Palestinians in the West Bank, land is not the only contentious issue. There are many restrictions to their daily lives.
But the fact is that, for instance, buses that, only Jewish people can use, or roads that only they can use, and checkpoints that, Palestinians can wait for hours, and young soldiers can decide if you can go and visit your family and friends.
The Israeli military will take a buffer zone away from your land to provide for the settlement, even if that's your private land.
Home demolitions can sometimes serve as a form of collective punishment, or sometimes they don't really need to give much of a reason at all. And it's not just home demolitions, it's also sometimes internal civic infrastructure like water lines, sanitation, healthcare facilities.
Palestinian livelihoods are also heavily threatened in the West Bank. The harvesting of olive trees has long been a flashpoint between Palestinians and settlers.
It's a cultural moment. I think it's an annual cultural moment in the picking of olives and the pressing of olives, and it becomes a bit of a community activity. What we tend to see is the destruction of land, olive trees, equipment.
An already poor harvesting season this year in 2025 was marred by extreme settler violence.
Oh, come on, don't hit her! Hey!
Don't hit her, he yells.
Hey!
But the man does.
Hey!
This is an Israeli settler beating Palestinian farmers in the occupied West Bank village of Turmasai.
And it was a very shocking image, but I think that these things do happen all the time. You could see this mob of settlers sort of coming and descending on the villagers.
The message is for them, you don't belong. And if you think you belong here, we will make your life impossible.
So what is the solution to an ever-worsening situation in the West Bank? And how can lasting change be implemented?
There has to be outside intervention because Israel currently has got no appetite or reason to compromise.
In the perfect scenario, as things stand now, you would have the international community act as a deterrent, where it would rein Israel's capacity, where Palestinians that have been displaced in the West Bank would be allowed to return back, where a lot of those sort of disruptions like makeshift checkpoints and barriers will be removed.
Or you can offer them an alternative in which innocent people won't be killed on a daily basis, and people won't be imprisoned or kidnapped and the rest. I'm optimist because I think this is possible, but it's possible only if we put our mind to it, and there are the forces there of can make a better, a better Israel, Palestine, a better world generally. You look at the world around, and you have some question marks about this ability. But all wars come to an end. It's just a question, what's the cost on the way?